become the best at what you're offering. So people should be able to look at you and say, wow, Ryan and Michelle, they're amazing at teamwork, same team. Or if we're talking smoothies, they should be able to look at us and be like, wow, those two are awesome chocolate, peanut butter, banana, protein smoothies. There shouldn't be a question as to what we are. People shouldn't be like, I don't know, are they orange Julius's? Are they pina coladas? What are they? I don't know.
This is Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate MarriageCast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Welcome to episode 74, and thank you, listener, for investing in your marriage. We're so proud of you. Look at you here, spending this dedicated time to learn and grow and invest in your relationship. So glad that you're here.
Yeah.
Ryan, we have a fun show today.
All right, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And Michelle, I really like that purple top you have on. It's
thank
really
you.
Nice.
Hey,
I like
it was a really sweet thrift find, and it's quite delightful. I actually, now that I'm wearing it though, I don't know if it's my color palette.
Oh.
I had doubts.
Okay.
But I don't know if someone out there has done, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Where like they tell you if you're a bold summer or a fall, autumn, or spring. It's a color palette thing.
Okay.
And then Ryan, you can plan your wardrobe around your colors.
Okay.
Your color profile.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if pastel purple, I thought it was kind of, good for February, Valentine's month, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my color.
I don't know. I think it looks nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe somebody can tell me. Be nice about it. If I'm like in the total wrong color wheel palette, be gentle. But
Yeah.
someday I'll do that. Ryan, we're going to do something kind of cool today.
Okay.
So we have been on a speaking tour.
Okay.
We were in
Yeah.
Yankton giving a sermon, and then I was in Vermilion speaking to the University of South Dakota, their Greek fraternity and sorority life leadership councils. I was, there was a work presentation I had to give, and then we are actually, as of this recording, we are very soon going to be doing the weekend sermon in Sioux Falls at Celebrate.church. Super excited for that. I think this will air right after that weekend. So we have been on the circuit.
Yeah.
And one presentation that I recently did, I thought would be so perfect for MarriageCast.
Okay.
So we're going to have fun because this whole presentation was about smoothies. And I think that you guys are going to love it. So the whole concept of this was I was asked to go down and talk about living and leading with values to USD and their executive officers for all of the campuses, fraternities, and sororities. So there were like 150 men and women there, all of their executive officers, and they were really seeking to learn how to live and lead with values. And then they had a bunch of other people talking on other topics. But I got the honor of being asked back for the third time to give this. So huge honor. I actually couldn't make it last year, and I thought, they'll probably just keep that person. But they came back to me, which was a really big honor.
Yeah.
And the students got to pick which breakout sessions they went to. My room was so full, you guys, we ran out of chairs. So
Hey, that's always a good thing.
I feel like that was really cool.
Yeah.
That one, they wanted to learn about it. And two, that the write-up that I provided was, generated enough interest that people were really curious and, maybe had heard of my previous presentations. So this is a brand new, fresh one. Even though I'd done it 3 times, it's fresh for this year. I just felt something different on my heart. And because I'm in marketing, I thought this really needs to be a sticky topic. They're going to have a few other breakout sessions. I want them to remember this. So I want to put this in terms of a relationship because I think it's super applicable. So you ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So first question for our listeners. Unfortunately, I won't be able to hear your response, but you can answer along in your car. Do you like smoothies? Ryan, do you like smoothies?
Of course.
Awesome.
Yes.
What kind of smoothies do you like?
Oh, man. I think I gravitate towards I don't know, the chocolate, peanut butter, banana. That seems like a combo smoothie.
Like protein too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you put in those?
Man, I think there's probably milk. There's probably bananas. There's probably peanut butter, protein powder.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that really is, that's your smoothie, right? So
Yeah.
we're going to apply that to values. And here's how we're going to make the connection, is that what I told these students was, if your chapter is saying again and again that you are offering chocolate, we'll use yours, Ryan, chocolate, peanut butter, protein smoothies, but yet every day you go and you get out the orange juice, the vanilla, what else is in this one? The milk, you get out those ingredients instead every day. Then eventually people are going to learn that Ryan's not actually the chocolate peanut butter protein smoothie shop. He's actually the Orange Julius shop because of what he keeps using every single day. And our values are a lot like that. We need to think about our marriage and what ingredients we're putting in, but we're also going to define what we're keeping out.
Yeah.
Because ultimately we can say that I want a marriage based on a deep friendship, but if every day I, instead of putting in encouragement, empathy, think of things that you would do with a good friend, right? Take that onto your spouse. With my good friend, I would, encourage her if she was sad. I would, if I had a coffee shop date with her, I would not leave her hanging. I would show empathy if she was going through something really challenging. I do that for my spouse. I want to be a sincere friend with my spouse. So I'm going to show up for you in that way. I need to add in those ingredients. But then also, we need to define what friendship is not. So in this example, it might be something like gossip. Okay, that seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, I'm not going to purposely gossip, but think about it. Okay, so if you're really wanting to be a deep friend with your spouse, but then you're out with your other group of friends and you're making these sly comments, like just passive little comments like, oh yeah, like, oh, Ryan would never do, oh, pickleball, Ryan would never try that. He wouldn't even get off the couch to try it. Nope, he wouldn't. Oh no, Ryan wouldn't do that. That's gossip. You're throwing your spouse under the bus there.
Yeah.
So defining what values you want in your relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, Michelle, I think that's so good. And just really, are your actions aligning with what you say?
Mm-hmm.
And, if you want to have a great marriage and you say that, but everything you do is tearing down your spouse, well, you're putting in the wrong ingredients.
Yeah.
I think that's so good. And I think the other part of that you just said about, about the, even the words you say, that if you're out with friends
mm-hmm.
and you're tearing your spouse down,
mm-hmm.
then you have to, again, ask yourself, like, okay, am I putting in the right ingredients? Yeah, I love that.
And I think those examples I gave too, that could apply for a lot of things with not gossiping. That could apply to if you're saying that your marriage is about honor, if it's about respect, if it's about a lifelong commitment, if it's about, now these are some of the chapters, personal intellectual growth, but you could want that value in your relationship, your marriage too. Philanthropic service to others, a big one for Ryan and I is ministry. Sincere friendship. I'm reading the ones that were actually part of my sorority in college that I was on their board for 15 years post-college, but that list that I just read, those resonate with me and I'm still living them out, so that made an impact. But I feel like we have a lot of those in our marriage. So I just encourage people to actually write them out. And I know one of the pastors here, Pastor Reed, they came up with, for his last name, DeVries, values for his last name. And I know years back, we had done one for O'Connor. We were open with each other. We were committed to Christ, I think was a C. We were one as a family, just, what was it in? there's a whole list of it, and it's on our garage door that we need to circle back around to, but you could do something like that.
Right.
We didn't do so much with the letters as just like our core values.
Yeah.
But at that time in the workshop, what I did, and I would love to pass on to our listeners, is I actually handed out worksheets that had little smoothie cups on them. So I have a gift for you, listener. I am going to see if our team can put a link to that document that I created. So I put my name on it, kind of like copyright, because, you can use it, but just don't sell it on Etsy. Or if you do, then maybe give the Celebrate MarriageCast some credit and, support us financially with that. But they're little smoothie cups. And then you can put your value at the top of that smoothie for what recipe you're making. And then you're going to put what ingredients you want in, and then which ones you definitely don't want to put in. So Ryan, can you think of one like smoothie recipe value for our family? Like what's a good example that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, I think of I don't know, one that's jumping out to me, and it's honor. I think honoring each other.
Yeah.
And I think as a value, like that's the first one that pops in my head. And I'm, really just that I think as we're talking about communicating like with other people and with friends and different things, like if we want to live out that value, then that means that I'm honoring you.
Yeah. What does that look like?
I think in your conversations, I'm not one to joke or to make crude jokes about my spouse or, talk about you negatively.
Right. Same.
Even just like the words that I speak are to lift you up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we both do.
In public and also at home.
Right.
So if we're having a disagreement, I prevent myself from being like, oh, he never does that, or oh, he's so stupid. Like those aren't things that I'm allowing myself to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are times where I'm tempted to, or I might kind of like start to grumble. I'm like, Michelle, no, because I don't want to plant those negative seeds in my heart.
Yeah. I mean, I think that comes back to taking thoughts captive. You've talked about that, Michelle, before, about when that pops in your head of like, no, I'm not going there. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that comes down to that value.
Yeah.
That value of honoring each other. I think that's a huge part of it. Yeah.
I think another value we have as a family, I think we're very committed to each other as a whole family. We do a really good job of just encouraging one another, of, even our children. I feel like we're just committed to each other. I think we all know that everyone's in each other's corner.
Yeah.
No matter what. I think even faith, it's really our family, our marriage is centered around Christ. And you would know that by the ingredients we put in, and that's our daily habits. We're in the Word every day now. I've gone through seasons where even the year that I did the Bible 365 plan is like, and actually there are a couple of days where I'll miss and then I'll catch up. But for the most part, I'm daily in the Word now, but that's taken discipline to get there.
Yeah.
Because I've gone through seasons where I've tried to, but now it's like really trying hard, daily time in the Word. We are in prayer as a family, as a married couple, and then individually.
Yeah.
We are at our community place of worship most every Sunday. If we're out of town, we're probably at a church somewhere else. So we talk about our Christian values as a family too. So if a situation comes up, Thomas just saw something on the TV the other day and he asked about it. And I was like, well, buddy, like, this is what we believe as Christians and this is how we live. And then I went on to say, but you know what, bud? Not everyone lives that way. You're going to see a lot of that like in school as you get older. And you know what? We love those people too. We're not going to say anything. We're not going to make them feel bad or, embarrass them or anything. But like we love those people. We just don't live like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're teaching that too. So, yeah, that would be another smoothie recipe.
Yeah.
To add to the list. So,
yeah.
Okay, so I think it's defining what values you want your relationship to be built on and getting really specific with, so what does that mean? Okay, if I want my marriage to be based on honesty, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean and what does that not mean? It's easy to say, oh yeah, I want it to be about honesty, but what does it also mean you're not going to do? You're not going to withhold little, truths from your spouse, You're not going to, I'm trying to think of examples. If you're maybe have some habit or you're not going to do that. If you're really about honesty, you're not going to hide those things from your spouse.
Yeah. 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 I think, I think you hit on it, Michelle. I think it's being open. It's being open with every area of your life, and not keeping things hidden, whether that's money or whether that's
a good example.
An addiction of some kind or something like that. I think, really it's being open and honest and having nothing hidden if that's what you want to base your relationship on.
Yeah.
You can't be hiding something and have a relationship value of honesty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So that's the first part for you guys to consider. So defining your values and then writing those down and then writing what they do and don't include in them. And so 3 things for you to keep in mind as you're living these out. I have some kind of tips for you to help be successful with this. So 1 is lead with purpose. And this applied a lot to the leaders down at the university, but I think it applies to us too. There's so much to be said about personal leadership that it really has to start with you. You can't ask others to do what you're not doing. So with your spouse, like you need to lead by example too. So if you're wanting a relationship, if your smoothie value is honesty, then you yourself need to be an honest person.
Yeah.
If you want a relationship of respect, then you need to be doing things that are respectful. If you want a sincere friend in your spouse, then you need to be a good friend to them. And you might find that those things actually encourage them to be a better friend to you. But starting with yourself, you can control yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Any thoughts on that?
Oh, I think that's such a key, I think, in relationships is taking a look in the mirror and saying, okay, if I want this, am I modeling that virtue or that trait? I think that's so important as you look at these values of really, really looking, okay, am I living this out? Am I living this out? And work on that.
Yeah. There, this is kind of a leadership statement, but you can't lead people higher than the level that you're at, right? I think John Maxwell has the law of the lid. So if you want the standards of your marriage to rise, like it can't go higher than where the person that is like the best that seems self-explanatory, right? But you've got to get better. You've got to keep raising that level for it to get better as a whole. There's a statement, and this really is, I learned that this is really in regards to the economy, but it says, a rising tide lifts all boats. I like that, even though it is kind of a economic quote, but I like it because it just is a beautiful example of a rising tide lifts all boats. So the better, the higher that you can raise that water level and increase how you are leading, your marriage boats, both of you are going to rise up. You and your spouse are going to rise. So lead the way and raise that water level.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so next thing. This is really kind of a fun thing for me to be able to share when I go and talk to students, but I think that this relates just as much to marriage, and I'm going to tell you how, but this is in regards to shaping a culture that reflects your highest ideals and leaves a lasting legacy, one that you'll be proud of, years down the road. And one of the things that I encouraged them to do was really first come up with their core smoothie flavors and become the best at what you're offering. So people should be able to look at you and say, wow, Ryan and Michelle, they're amazing at teamwork, same team. They're so honest with each other. They're so respectful of each other. Or if we're talking smoothies, they should be able to look at us and be like, wow, those two are awesome chocolate, peanut butter, banana, protein smoothies. There shouldn't be a question as to what we are. People shouldn't be like, I don't know, are they orange Julius's? Are they pina coladas? What are they? I don't know. It should be so evident. We should be oozing out those ingredients. It should be obvious, right? So live them so well and model them. Next, it must be caught, not taught. This is really kind of a leadership principle too, but you can say that you're about something, but ultimately if you're not living it out, it doesn't matter. So that's what that boils down to. Yeah. You have to live it out. So if you're telling your spouse, I want an honest relationship, and again, if you're not living it out, like they're not going to believe that. So you can show them that by actually living it out. And then this is one that I was thinking is kind of specific to the university, but I think applies to marriages. Something that I shared with them is I often hear when I go back, we've always done it that way. Michelle, we've always done it that way. Why are you doing it that way? We've always done it that way. I was on a board for 15 years with this chapter back in college or post-college. They were still in college, but I was post-college, and I advised them, and I would hear that. And I would often just kind of chuckle to myself and think, that is so funny because A, I know that it was not always that way. And B, it's funny that they think that, but it's because they have such a limited perspective, right? So if you were to look through a little tiny straw, that's what they're looking at. But I, having been removed from that organization and being around for many years, so 15 years post-college as a volunteer on the board, 4 years in college, 19 years, my perspective was larger. It was maybe the size of a gift wrap tube, whereas they were looking through a little straw, a coffee straw. I was looking through a gift wrap tube, a bigger perspective, or a cup, a larger cup size. And I could see outside of those years, no, that's not actually how it always has been. And it's not bad to change. We need to adapt with some things, right? We need to learn and grow. But the problem that can create, both for them and in your marriage relationship, is that it's a really dangerous mindset. And sometimes, and in the matter of a few years, things can totally change. So with this example for the college students, if they start to tolerate certain lack of values, because they're only as good as the worst behavior that they tolerate, and that could be the same for your marriage, you're only as good as the worst thing that you allow, that kind of becomes who they are.
Yeah.
And then the next year, and the next year, and the next year, and then boom, within 4 years, that chapter, that organization has totally reinvented who they are. And all of a sudden, they're those guys and those gals. Mm-hmm. But I think we can learn a lot from that in our marriage, because I think that happens in the marriage relationship. I hear people say they've always been like that. Well, no, they weren't. You guys weren't like that when you got married. But over time, you've accepted things, you've tolerated, you've allowed bad behaviors to continue, and now you are that, but it hasn't always been that way. So that's not true. So it's being aware of what are you allowing right now, and just knowing that can be a little dangerous, because the longer that you allow and tolerate and kind of slip into that, the more that it really can shape your future identity of your marriage. So let's give an example. Maybe you've fallen into a season of coming home after work, kicking off your shoes, and watching TV. Probably hasn't always been like that, but by allowing it this week, next month, next year, it slowly starts to become what your marriage is. Right. You're checking out. You're not putting effort into investing.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think two things. I think one, it's easy to fall into a rut, but also on the flip side, you can change it. And so like I think it's easy to say something like, and maybe this is even generational, of like, well, we've always been this way. We've always done it this way. We've always done that. And maybe that's true. Maybe you've done that from your parents and now you're doing the same thing. Maybe that is truth. But this is where I think this idea can be so amazing, is that you can change it. It doesn't have to be that way. You can change it for the better, but it's also more of what you decide to do with it.
Yeah.
You can decide to be like, yep, it's always been that way, and pass that on to your kids, and it will always be that way. Or you can decide, you know what? No, we don't want this. We don't want to do it this way. This is hurtful, or this is not putting the right ingredients into our marriage, and we don't want that. You can change it.
Yeah, whether that's, passivity, checking out, turning to other things. Maybe it's yelling. Maybe you grew up in a house where there was a yelling. You don't have to continue that. It doesn't have to always be what you've done and what you always will do.
Yeah.
It takes awareness, though, to be like, whoa, no.
Yeah.
This isn't what we want.
Right. Yeah. I think that's such a great point, Michelle, because I think, being aware and going back to stating your values and say, what do we really want? What do we want our marriage, our relationship to be? And putting the right ingredients in. And if that means, hey, we're going to stop making, Orange Julius, and we need to get back to what we want.
Right.
This is what we want our marriage to be. We're going to put in the right ingredients to make the best chocolate,
peanut butter, banana protein
smoothies we can.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a great wake-up call, right? Because, it is. Are your neighbors looking at you and be like, yeah, those guys, no, they're not chocolate, peanut butter, protein, banana smoothies. No way. They're totally Orange Julius's. Yeah. Let this be a reality check. Yeah. So use that tool we have for you, the Smoothie Values worksheet, and have fun with that.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll add too is don't forget to add in both the ingredients you want and the ones that you don't want. Because again, I'm going to say it, you're only as good as the worst behavior you're currently tolerating. And that's not just with your spouse, that's with you too. Like, you're only as good as that. So reflect on that. What ingredients are you definitely not going to add in to your chocolate, peanut butter, banana, protein smoothie?
Yeah.
Define it.
Yeah. That's a great point, Michelle. You're going to have to take some things out. Mm-hmm. If you're used to making Orange Julius, you better take the orange, what else is in it?
Vanilla. When I looked it up, it was orange, vanilla, and I think milk. Maybe a sherbet. Yeah.
You're going to have to take some stuff out regardless.
Yeah.
If you want to make a chocolate peanut butter banana protein smoothie,
can't put oranges in it.
You can't put oranges in it. You're going to have to take some stuff out. And I think again, Michelle, I love this because it really comes down to defining the values that you want your relationship to live by. Mm-hmm. What do you want those to be? And then add in the ingredients that you're going to need.
I think too, just one final parting thought that just came to my mind. I didn't share this in my presentation, but it's not by happenstance. Great smoothie flavors. When you go into a smoothie shop, they have their recipe boards, and when you order one what it's going to be. It's not happenstance. They're not throwing random things in a smoothie that probably would be really gross, right?
Yeah.
If you went in and they're like, oh, we're just going to throw in all the random stuff on our counter. It's going to have spinach. It's going to have chocolate. It's going to have oranges. It's going to have pineapples. It's going to have chia seeds. It's going to have strawberries. I mean, and we're going to throw some kiwis in, and we're going to throw, whatever, some pudding in. I mean, that would be so...
Sounds gross.
Gross.
Right.
It's like when kids... Do you remember, did you ever do this when you were a kid? I don't think I did, but adding all the like flavors of pop and the soda machine, like all together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It would be gross, right? And so you're going to need to be intentional. What recipe are you even trying to create? Flesh that out.
Yeah.
So pick your recipe, pick your value, pick your ingredients, and then write in what you're not adding in. So use that worksheet. Let us know if that's helpful. I would love to hear that. Love to see photos of it. Take the Celebrate MarriageCast on Instagram.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, Ryan, we are in need of more mystery questions. So if anyone out there has one, send it in. That number is 605-951-0110. Or if you want to leave a comment on today's show, we would love to hear that too. And thank you so much to our listeners for joining us today. We hope that this has been a fun Smoothie Values episode.
Yeah.
It was a fun twist, right?
Yeah. It was super fun.
And we want you to know, again, we're just so proud of you. So thanks for joining us. You can find marriage resources at Celebrate.church/marriage. And make sure that if you haven't followed or subscribed, that you're doing those things. Leave us a review. That would mean so much. And I saw that our Spotify reviews went up, or our 5 stars went up. So that's exciting.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So add to that. That would be super cool too. And we hope that you have a great week. See ya.
Have a great week.